I have made it no secret how much I love Fort Collins and specifically Old Town Square. And I'm grateful that every day during the work week, I get to oversee the square, the splash pad, the stage, and really what an amazing place Old Town Square in Fort Collins, Colorado is. But that is not what this video is about. And honestly, I couldn't wait to make it because, well, not everything is perfect. And today we're talking about the 3 reasons why Old Town Square in Fort Collins sucks. All right, now let's take that with a little bit grain of salt because I do love Old Town and Fort Collins. But if there were 3 reasons why Old Town and Fort Collins sucks, these are them. Now, there are definitely some honorable mentions and we had fun with this. Definitely put out a poll to the community and saw what their thoughts were on why Fort Collins and Old Town, what are kind of some of their least favorite things. And we will start with the 3rd and end with the worst thing about Old Town Square. So definitely stick around to the end to see what we feel in Fort Collins is the shittiest thing about Old Town Square. What's up, everybody? My name is Patrick Soukup with Soukup Real Estate Services here in Fort Collins, Colorado. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing if what you're looking at doing is learning everything there is to know, eating, sleeping, playing, working, hanging out in Old Town Square, Fort Collins. And at the end of the video, you've enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up, comment, engage, interact, maybe even share it with a friend. And as much as we like making these real estate videos for YouTube, we like more working with buyers, sellers, and investors for all the real estate needs for everything here in Fort Collins. And we are licensed real estate brokers here in Fort Collins, so give us a call, text, email, whatever it is. We've got your back when it comes to everything Fort Collins. Without any further delay, let's jump into today's video. The 3 reasons why Old Town Square in Fort Collins sucks. Enjoy. Alrighty, so let's start with some honorable mentions. And one of those being the train. Yes, the train is a nuisance and we've got to deal with it. It does go kind of right through the north side of Old Town and really does divide this kind of Old Town North, this river district that's kind of burgeoning and growing, as well as Old Town North. And if you live on the north side and you're coming south, you definitely have to deal with it. Fortunately, I don't have to deal with it too much for going from south to north because I don't go all that far north all the time. So, honorable mention, the train. Another one is going to have to be that there's just banks on every corner. Yes, our rental rates for our commercial properties are pretty expensive and banks can make those numbers work. Retailers and restaurants, they need some, not necessarily more affordable rents, but it is more difficult for them to be successful in commercial spaces because, well, they're reliant upon the foot traffic. And we've got foot traffic coming. The density in Old Town is growing, so hopefully we can see more retailers and restaurants and less banks on every corner, which we'll hint at as one of our top reasons. But that being said, another honorable mention is we are a college town, CSU, Colorado State University. So what does that mean? We've got college bars. And if you're coming into Old Town Square anytime really after 9 o'clock, you can't, especially on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you can expect to see some college kids partying, getting after it, and are pretty drunk. And when I come into work on a Friday morning after a crazy Thursday night, I can tell you that the night was a little bit crazy for some and a little bit too crazy as I'm walking up the alley, I'm seeing puke on the sides of, not too often, but every now and again on the side of the alley. So we are a college town and expect more college partiers in the square. So something that you just got to deal with and understand that there are cool other options for young single professionals or retired folks. It's just maybe after 9 o'clock gets a little bit wild on those Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. As well as One thing that is beautiful about Old Town Square, we do a phenomenal job, is our flowers and how much our Christmas lights. And we will talk about our 4 favorite things in another video, but today it's all about the reasons why it sucks. And one of the reasons is there's not a ton of green space. The library has some, our medians have some good green space, and then City Park, but otherwise there's just, it is getting to be a pretty dense Old Town, not necessarily in terms of height, but just not a ton of green space. All of the infill projects are there, and you do have some parks close, Lee Martinez Park, City Park, and the library, but otherwise it is a pretty concrete jungle downtown. So those all are our honorable mentions of reasons why Old Town, may not be the best, but here are the top 3 reasons why Old Town Square in Fort Collins sucks. Number 3, we don't have a ton of retail and experiences downtown. And one of them that's really no fun is in my opinion, is the ice rink downtown. I can literally see it, I hear it outside my office every day for about 2.5, 3 months of the year. And it's this synthetic ice that is plastic more or less, and you can just hear the people clanking their skates on there. And there are people who use it. It can be fun, especially for the little kids. Get a little barrel, a little trash can, they can walk on and push their skates, but it is a terrible ice rink, especially comparatively to what we see at the Foothills Fashion Mall, where there's probably the best ice rink in Northern Colorado, exterior ice rink for all months of the holiday season. And also continue with number 3 is really just not a ton of retail options. As I spoke, lots of banks are down here. We do have some good shopping for women's fashion, men's. We need more of it, and larger retailers not larger, but more retailers to come into Old Town and be able to make it. The Cupboard. I love going and shopping at the Cupboard, get a ton of gifts for friends and family there, and they've been around forever. And unless these places can come in and negotiate a solid rent, it is a struggle for them to make it. So if you are in Fort Collins, definitely take the time to go and patronize these, or be a patron of these retailers and restaurants. There's just not a ton of them, and experiences. We want to fulfill and be able to supply people an option, or the ability to spend an entire day in Old Town and downtown Fort Collins, and it's just not necessarily there yet. Yes, you can definitely go get breakfast at Silver Grill, coffee at Little Bird Bake Shop. Maybe there's some cool experience-based concepts coming up. Grab lunch, the Exchange, play some cornhole in the evenings, some donut shops here and there, some great dessert places, Ben & Jerry's, Walrus Ice Cream, Rocket Fizz for some candy if your kids need some. But we are still trying to build an opportunity for people to spend an entire day downtown, and it's just not necessarily there yet, but maybe coming. So number 2, all right, and this one's kind of not necessarily fun to talk about, but it is, it's facts, and that's transients, and not necessarily homeless people, but transients. And Old Town Square definitely is, if there was to be kind of a magnet for these transients when they're coming through town, Old Town is that. We do a phenomenal job with Outreach Fort Collins, which is kind of this buffer zone between needing police intervention and some people that maybe just need help to understand this is not necessarily the best place for them to play a trumpet at the loudest absolute octave or decibel possible. And others that just kind of sit near the fountain. And those are some things that Fort Collins, we don't have a ton of them, which is awesome and amazing, which, honestly, the more or less I talk with people, they're shocked that we don't have more. And hopefully we're able to continue with companies such as Outreach Fort Collins and the Fort Collins Police Department doing as good of a job as they've done in the past, so that these individuals can kind of find their way through and out of Fort Collins, hopefully, and not necessarily make their presence known for too long or too loud. So number 2 is transients that come through Fort Collins do find their way mostly into Old Town and downtown Fort Collins. Not too many issues. Leverage those companies like Outreach Fort Collins. If you do find yourself in a position that you just don't feel comfortable, maybe not necessarily a police opportunity, but something to where you just need somebody's help. So reach out to Outreach Fort Collins, and they're a great company here in town. Which leads me to the first and worst reason why, or I should say, the number one reason why Old Town Square in Fort Collins sucks. And it was pretty overwhelming. Parking. Parking is definitely an issue in Old Town Fort Collins. And again, if we are wanting to allow people to spend an entire day in Old Town and Fort Collins, we have to figure out parking. Currently, the current concept is 2 hours free parking. And from there, you can get a parking ticket. You won't get towed, but you will get a parking ticket, which I've got plenty of those. But there is a lack of it. We do have some parking garages and parking permits available in different parking lots. But currently in those parking garages, you can have the first hour free, and then every hour after that is $1. There are three main places off of Mountain and Remington, off of LaPorte and Mason, and then off of near on the Elizabeth, which the Elizabeth Hotel, there's some dedicated parking to the Elizabeth, but then also some dedicated parking to the public. Now, those parking garages are not necessarily heavily used, and they need to be really kind of implemented for the community to use, because I know that they are discussing about decreasing parking options on Mountain to make more of an opportunity for bikes and people to walk. And that is something that they are focusing on in Old Town Fort Collins, is public transportations, biking and walking, maybe to try to do away with as many vehicles downtown as there currently are. But we are a commuter community. We don't have amazing public transportation, and our community is sprawled out. So lots of people have to drive downtown to enjoy what is down there. And if parking is an issue, people won't make their way down there. They don't want to have to deal with it. And removing parking, which they're discussing, or changing different things, they need to figure out how we can do a community outreach to allow people to understand where there are parking options. Maybe a 2 hour is too short, or they need to be paid parking so that the meter can keep on running. I know that there are a lot of different conversations to be had, and there's no one right answer if you ask different retailers, restaurants, businesses, business owners, office users, or just kind of people who are coming in to visit, people who are on vacation, and people who are wanting to spend the evening down on a date night with their wife or kids. And so that is something that each person is finding themselves very similarly having a issue with parking. So those are the three reasons why Old Town Fort Collins sucks. Lack of experiences downtown / retail / that shitty ice rink that I just really don't enjoy. Sorry if you're a part of that. I really don't want it, downtown. Something else could be 1,000 times better. Number 2, transients that come through Fort Collins and make their way into Old Town Square. And number 1, the main reason why Old Town Square in Fort Collins sucks, and hopefully we can do better to be better and find cooler opportunities for Fort Collins, is parking down in Old Town. So hopefully this sheds some light on what issues we face in Old Town Fort Collins. And if they aren't too big for you, maybe make your way down there and find out for yourself why there are much more reasons why Old Town Fort Collins is amazing, which we will hit on that video next. Alrighty guys, until next time, give me a call, text, email if you're looking at buy, sell, or invest here in Northern Colorado. Take care.